Hello, this is Miss Yetter, and we are continuing our saga with Hollow City, the second novel in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. We are on Chapter 8, Part 2, and we'll be beginning at the top of page 227 if you'd like to turn in your books and join me. We hurried past the ruined blocks as quickly as we could, then marveled as the streets returned to life around us. Just a short walk from hell. People were going about their business, striding down sidewalks, living in buildings that still had electricity and windows and walls. Then we rounded a corner and the cathedral's dome revealed itself, proud and imposing despite patches of fire-blackened stone and a few crumbling arches. Like the spirit of the city itself, it would take more than a few bombs to topple St. Paul's. Our hunt began in a square close to the cathedral where old men on benches were feeding pigeons. At first, it was mayhem. We bounded in, grabbing wildly as the pigeons took off. The old man grumbled, and we withdrew to wait for their return. They did. Eventually, pigeons not being the smartest animals on the planet, at which point we all took turns wading casually into the flock and trying to catch them by surprise, reaching down to snatch at them. I thought Olive, who was small and quick, or Hugh, with a peculiar connection to another sort of winged creature, might have some luck, but both were humiliated. Miller didn't fare any better, and they couldn't even see him. By the time my turn came, the pigeons must have been sick of us bothering them, because the moment I strolled into the square, they all burst into flight and took one big simultaneous cluster bomb crap, which sent me flailing toward a water fountain to wash my whole head. In the end, it was Horace who caught one. He sat down next to the old man, dropping seeds until the bird circled around him. Then, leaning slowly forward, he stretched out his arm and, calm as could be, snagged one by its feet. "Got you," he cried. The bird flapped and tried to get away, but Horace held on tight. He brought it to us. "How can we tell it's peculiar?" he said, flipping the bird over to inspect its bottom, as if expecting to find a label there. "Show it to Miss Peregrine," Emma said. "She'll know." So we opened Brawin's trunk, shoved the pigeon inside with Miss Peregrine, and slammed down the lid. The pigeon screeched like it was being torn apart. I winced and shouted, "Go easy, Miss P." When Brawin opened the trunk again, a poof of pigeon feathers fluttered into the air, but the pigeon itself was nowhere to be seen. "Oh no, she's ate it," said Brawin. "No, she hasn't," said Emma. "Look beneath her." Miss Peregrine lifted up and stepped aside, and there underneath her was the pigeon, alive but dazed. "Well," said Enoch, "is it or isn't it one of Miss Wren's?" Miss Peregrine nudged the bird with her beak, and it flew away. Then she leapt out of the trunk, hobbling into the square, and with one loud squawk scattered the rest of the pigeons. Her message was clear. Not only was Horace's pigeon not peculiar, none of them were. We'd have to keep looking. Miss Peregrine hopped toward the cathedral and flapped her wing impatiently. We caught up to her on the cathedral steps. The building loomed above us, soaring bell towers framing its giant dome. An army of soot-stained angels glared down at us from marble reliefs. "How are we ever going to search this whole place?" I wondered aloud. One room at a time, Emma said. A strange noise stopped us at the door. It sounded like a faraway car alarm. The note pitched up and down in long, slow arcs. But there were no car alarms in 1940, of course. It was an air raid siren. Horace cringed. The Germans are coming, he cried. Death from the skies. We don't know what it means, Emma said. Could be a false alarm or a test. But the streets in the square were emptied fast. The old men were folding up their newspapers and vacating their benches. They don't seem to think it's a rest. It's a test, Horace said. Since when are we afraid of a few bombs? Enoch said. Quiet, talking like a Nancy normal. Need I remind you, said Millard. These are not the sort of bombs we're accustomed to. Unlike the one that fell on Cairnholm, we don't know where they're going to land. All the more reason to get what we came for, and quickly, Emma said, and she led us inside. The cathedral's interior was massive. It seemed impossibly even larger than the outside, and though damaged, a few hardy believers knelt here and there in silent prayer. The altar was buried underneath a median of debris. Where a bomb had pierced the roof, sunlight fell down in broad beams. A lone soldier at a fallen pillar, gazing at the sky through the broken ceiling. We wandered. Next crane, bits of concrete and broken tile crunching beneath our feet. I don't see anything, Horace complained. There are enough hiding places here for 10,000 pigeons. Don't look, Hugh said. Listen. We stopped, strained our ear to the telltale coo of pigeons, but there was only the ceaseless whine of air raid sirens, and below that a series of dull cracks like rolling thunder. I told myself to stay calm, but my heart thrummed like a drum machine. Bombs were falling. We need to go, I said, panic choking me. There has to be a shelter nearby, somewhere safe we can hide. But we're so close, said Rowan. We can't quit now. There was another crack, closer this time, and the others started to get nervous too. Maybe Jacob's right, said Horace. Let's find somewhere safe to hide until the bombing's through. We can search more when it's over. Nowhere is truly safe, said Enoch. Those bombs can penetrate even a deep shelter. They can't penetrate a loop, Emma said, and if there's a tale about this cathedral, there's probably a loop entrance here too. Perhaps, said Millard. Perhaps. Hand me the book and I shall investigate. Rowan opened her trunk and handed Millard the book. Let me see now, he said, turning its pages until he reached the pigeons at St. Paul's. Bombs are falling and we're reading stories, I thought. I have entered the realm of the insane. Listen closely, Millard said. If there's a loop entrance nearby, this tale may tell us how to find it. It's a short one, luckily. A bomb fell outside. The floor shook and plaster rained from the ceiling. I clenched my teeth and tried to focus my breathing. Unfazed, Millard cleared his throat. The Pigeons of St. Paul's, he began reading in a big, booming voice. We know the title already, said Enoch. Read faster, please, said Rowan. If you don't stop interrupting me, we'll be here all day, said Millard. And then he continued, once upon a peculiar time, long before there were towers or steeples or any tall buildings at all in the city of London, there was a flock of pigeons who got it into their heads that they wanted a nice high place to roost, above the bustle and phrases of human society. They knew just how to build it too, because pigeons are builders by nature and much more intelligent than we give them credit for being. But the people of ancient London weren't interested in constructing tall things. So one night the pigeons snuck into the bedroom of the most industrious human they could find and whispered into his ear the plans for a magnificent tower. In the morning, the man awoke in great excitement. He had dreamed, or he thought, of a magnificent church with a great reaching spire that would rise from the city's tallest hill. A few years later, at enormous cost to the humans, it was built. It was a very towering sort of tower and had all manner of nooks and crannies inside it where the pigeons could roost, and they were very satisfied with themselves. Then one day Vikings sacked the city and burned the tower to the ground, so the pigeons had to find another ancient whisper in his ear and wait patiently for a new church tower to be built. This one even grander and taller than the first. And it was built, and it was very grand and very tall, and then it burned too. Things went on this fashion for hundreds of years, the towers burning and the pigeons whispering plans for still grander and taller towers to successive generations of nocturnally inspired architects. Though these architects never realized the debt they owed the birds, they still regarded them with tenderness and allowed them to hang about whenever they liked in the naves and belfries, like the mascots and guardians of the place they truly were. This is not helpful, Enoch said. Get to the top entrance part. I am getting to what I am getting to, Millard snapped. Eventually, after many church towers had come and gone, the pigeons' plans became so ambiguous that it took an exceedingly long time to find a human intelligent enough to carry them out. When they finally did, the man resisted, believing the hill to be cursed. So many churches have burned there in the past. Though he tried to put the idea out of his mind, the pigeons kept returning night after night to whisper it in his ear. Still the man would not act. So they came to him during the day, which they had never done before, and told him in their strangest laughing language that he was the only human capable of constructing their tower, and he simply had to do it. But he refused and chased them from his house, shouting, "Shoo, begone with ye, filthy creatures."